But it's a backpack. It's level 3 backpack
shut the fuck
here.
up about the backpack, please?
I've been trying to find it for like...
Just please be quiet.
Just shut the fuck up.
Hey guys, what's up? Mr. Reaper here, bringing you another tutorial for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. So today we're going to be talking about aiming. Specifically, I'm going to hit on mouse DPI, polling rate, mouse acceleration, in-game sensitivity, Windows sensitivity, leading, bullet drop, and recoil management. So we're going to start out with mouse DPI. So mouse DPI is kind of like a touchy subject for first-person shooter gaming. Some people like high mouse DPIs, but most people will prefer lower in like the 400 to 800 range. Me personally, I play at 400, and I also have a extended extra large mouse pad, which gives me plenty of room to move my arm. And I like playing at a low DPI because I rarely ever overcompensate when I'm trying to snap on a target. But my best advice to you for mouse DPI is really to just try a bunch of DPIs out. I wouldn't really go over 1,000, 1,200 at the max. Then you start getting into the territory where you have to really mess with your in-game sensitivity. So next up, we got polling rates. So your polling rate is how often your mouse reports its position to your computer. Polling rates are measured in hertz, which you guys probably don't really care about. But what your polling rate does is the higher it is, the less input lag there will be between when you move your hand for what actually occurs on your screen. Anything over 500 is really good. I play at 1,000 personally. That's just personal preference. But if you can get over 1,000, then that's really, really great. Some people say that mouse acceleration is good for first-person shooters. I personally don't entertain that idea at all. I think mouse acceleration is horrible. Basically, what mouse acceleration does is the longer you move your mouse, the faster it speeds up. And that just creates a lot of inconsistencies for when you're playing games and when you're trying to shoot people. If you have any high-end type of gaming mouse, it should have an option to turn off mouse acceleration. You can also do it in your Windows mouse settings. So I want to talk about mouse pads and mice. I'm not going to throw out any brands because I'm not endorsed by anybody or anything. I use an extra long extended mouse pad, which is amazing for me because I play with a low DPI and I use my arm to move my mouse. If you play with a higher DPI or you play with your wrist, you probably don't have to worry about that. You can probably use a standard mouse pad or like a large size mouse pad. And now we'll talk about mice. So if you're really serious about first-person shooters or PUBG in general, I would recommend trying to get a more high-end gaming mouse. Ones that you can have customizable DPIs. You can customize your polling rate. They have DPI switches on the mouse, customizable buttons on the sides. There's some that you can put weights inside. And these types of mice will make a huge difference, especially if you're playing with just a regular mouse. So let's get into sensitivity. So you have three types of sensitivity for your mouse. You have your actual mouse's sensitivity if you have any sort of software for it. You have Windows sensitivity, and then you have your in-game sensitivity. So I already covered, mouse sensitivity, which is your DPI. So now we'll talk about Windows sensitivity. So default, your Windows sensitivity is 6 out of 10, and I normally tell people not to mess with it. I keep mine at 6, and it works great for me. In-game sensitivity is something you have to find for yourself, and that all depends on your DPI. If you play with a higher DPI, you might want to adjust your in-game sensitivity down. I play at 400, so I keep everything default except for my 8x and my 15x. I actually play with, I think, the same in-game sensitivity as Shroud. So you might want to look at some pros and see what kind of sensitivities they have, and then tweak them, to fit your playstyle. Alright, so let's get into the actual in-game meat and bones of aiming. So you got leading, bullet drop, recoil management, things like the ability to snap on the targets. So all of these things take a lot of time to develop, and if you're new to first-person shooters or any type of shooter on the PC, then it's going to take you a lot longer to develop these skills in PUBG than somebody who's a seasoned veteran, somebody who plays CSGO, Battlefield, games like that. So leading is basically shooting ahead of a target while they're moving so that they actually run into the bullet. And this all depends on the caliber, the muzzle velocity, whether you have a suppressor, whether you have a compensator, things like that. Bullet drop is basically if you have to aim up above a target so that it drops down onto them, and that depends on your altitude, their altitude, how far you are away from them. You have recoil management, which is a big problem for a lot of people. I notice you have your gun on full auto and you're like 50 yards away from somebody and you light them up and all of a sudden you lose control of the recoil and they give a couple calculated single shots to your head and you're down. And then snapping on targets. So snapping on targets is pretty difficult. And that all comes into your mouse DPI. You have to be comfortable with the DPI that you're playing with and the sensitivity that you're playing with before you can be good at actually snapping on targets that are shooting at you. So I hope you guys liked the video. This might not have been exactly what you were looking for, but there really aren't any definite tips on how to be better at aiming. You have to just practice and practice and practice, log a lot of hours in the game, kill as many people as possible, and eventually you're going to be slaying bodies like it's nobody's business. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time.